Okay. Hello, I'm Z Slides, and I'm going to be teaching you how to draw maps on Google Slides. So first, I'm just going to name this mapping. Okay, so the first step is you just want to go on Google and find images of maps. So Germany map PNG. You just want to find a lot of them. Make sure they're PNGs. You can just copy and paste them, and then get a few on there. I'll do France next. That's not a PNG. Make sure it's PNG by having the checkered pattern. It's very important. Austria-Hungary. You should want to have about 5, 6, 7. The more you have, the more detailed it's gonna look. So just put more you can. Louisiana. Copy image. Now you want to put some with a lot of islands, because more islands are realistic. So Greece, for example, it's a lot of islands, and you'll want some peninsulas type places, like Cuba. I mean, you can use it as a very long peninsula. Iceland is a nice one because it's so spherical. Russia's borders are just beautiful. Right there, the nice, wonderful borders. And I'll do one more. I'm gonna come in with islands later, but right now this is just the main land masses. So what you want to do is just scale everything way down. Before you even start, you want to just rotate them and just flip them. In order to rotate, you just click on that, or you can hit the Alt and the arrow keys, and that does 15 or increments of 15 angles. Or you can right click it, hit rotate, that lets you do 90s, and you can also flip it, which makes it look harder to recognize, and especially when it's rotated, scaled, distorted. You shouldn't be able to recognize these, but that's the plan at least. I'm just going to flip this one horizontally, vertically. You can also stretch them out, rotate them. Okay, now that I have that, Bavaria seems it'll be good over there. Germany, I'm going to use the very long side to extenuate that coastline. Louisiana, I don't really want the flat parts, but I can use the bayous, and or not the bayous, the other things like that. Austria-Hungary, I kind of like its little dingle right there. Iceland can go right there. I'm going to rotate France, and then flip it, and then rotate it just a bit. Greece is kind of good where they are. Oh. While I'm thinking about it, I'm just going to change the background color to more ocean color. There's many styles you can make maps, but I'm going to try just like the two tones, or not the two tones, but the less colorful. Some maps have like a lot of colors, like the forest or green and chirpy, and on Google side you can do that. It's just a pain, and I prefer not to do that. There we go. There we have a little basic landmass. Now I want to extenuate Cuba right there, make it jut out. Bavaria can jut out some more. Boom. Maybe not that much. Iceland can kind of go out a bit. Greece. We're going to add some more islands later. But for right now, this is it. Or this is plenty of islands. So, okay. So if you can zoom in a lot, which helps. And then if you click that and go to curve tool, I'm going to make this map go off the top edge, but you can just click it and just make sure to grab most of these points. I like to do like each country at a time, detail it. The more points you click on, the more realistic it looks. Oh, no, I just messed up there. but the more realistic it will look, the more points you add, and just try to jittering around. You don't have to follow it exactly or perfectly, but just well enough. And it's a good thing if you don't follow it exactly perfectly, because then it'll be harder to recognize what it actually is, which you don't want it to recognize, because that's just kind of boring when you can recognize it. So a little about me, I created this channel because I really like using Google Slides for art. It's a very niche topic that not many people know about, and I was kind of looking for YouTube channels that had Google Slides art, but not surprised, aren't any that existed. So I wanted to make this one because I like using the Google Slides for art, and I think it can actually be used for pretty cool effects, especially larger, more complicated images for just printing stuff. For maps, it's really good for maps. It's probably the best thing, because you can drag images around, and I'll get to that a bit later. And so while you're doing this, you can kind of think about how many kingdoms or areas you want. How many cultures is this all part of one kingdom? Does he just rule this all? Or is this like splintered into many smaller states? Was there civil wars here? How did it get to this point? You can kind of think, does this world have like a pantheon or just one person? Kind of think of the world building elements behind this map, because every map tells many, many stories. And, I mean, you could be making a map for, say, a book or something, and what's the story behind it? Okay, just so I don't mess up my progress, I'm just gonna go save this, or not save it, but I can do it in several chunks, just to make sure I don't accidentally click on the same area twice, because that'll make it lose my progress. I don't want to do that, because that's really annoying when that happens. So I'll just complete that. Like oh no, there's more. Never mind. Anyway, I'll just complete this trend. The more complicated you make it, the longer it's going to take, but I think the nicer it's going to look. Just to make it swoop out, a bit more connected to the other land continents or land masses that this is connected to. I'm going to just make this feel a lot wider and suggest that there's a lot more connected to the top. And this is just one big, large peninsula. I'll work on the Germany-Louisiana part of the border now. Again, trying to keep it as detailed and scattered as possible. You don't have to follow like all the borders, because this is very, very detailed. But just as long as you get the general ideas, and someone's not looking at this too close, should be fine. I'm just gonna kind of condense these islands. If you don't really like the way that a certain place looks, you can just go around it to a certain extent, and that is better and can help. That's the Louisiana part done, and after I finish Austria-Hungary, then that's probably going to be one thing. Also, I'm into history, like history a lot, that's why I did a lot of historical nations like Germany, Prussia, and other places. I just like Bavaria, I don't know why. Just kind of thinking of Germany today. A lot of German-speaking areas that I'm included on this map. Unrelated, but this map should look pretty cool, and it should take you like 30 minutes in total to make it, which is pretty short, and it's a free service, unlike other map making tools like Inkarnate and some other ones. This is completely free, and I don't know, those kind of feel cheating because you're using other people's assets and stuff like that. You can see this coastline, not very accurate, so after I get to Cuba-France border, I'll probably call it for that just to save it. And I'll connect back to the top of it. Before you connect it, you should do a little thin part, and then another part, just so it doesn't get that. There you go. This one, I'll just do Cuba. Cuba's a big peninsula in this map. Always try to have a few peninsulas, and this area will probably end up being like a Gulf Island Bay, because that'll probably look nicer. You know, I'll actually do Iceland and this one too, just so that don't have to do it next time. So, boo boo boo. And now, Iceland and Cuba are almost done. You can take as long as you want on this step. Doesn't matter, it just matters how good it's going to look. Because it can look detailed, or it can look rushed. And I think this one's going to look more towards the rush side, but that's okay. Remember to try to have different areas like more detailed than others. I want to make this a bay area, so I'm not going to follow the total lines. These are just more like guidelines of areas you can do. But just to create that bay feels. And on this stage, start thinking about different areas where rivers, lakes, stuff is going to be very important for the next step. I'm going to make that more connected. And try to vary your coastlines, because you can have some areas that are just pretty smooth. But the whole world's not going to be smooth, but try to make areas that are more jagged and differences like that. On to Prussia on the last stretch. Oh, and I messed up. Well, I can still save this. It's not that bad of a mess up. I can continue over this point and just make sure that there's no gap showing through the process. And Prussia's almost done. Please like, comment, and subscribe onto this YouTube channel. This is a new thing I'm trying, like I said, because I like Google Slides and there don't really seem to be channels for that. Alas, therefore I shall make one by my own hand. Instead, comment what other things I can try to make on Google Slides. It's really good for making cards or detailed little things, especially school projects, obviously, but things you want to print for board games or other things. I'll probably cover the makings of a few board games here, and how to make your own, and just printing some stuff. This channel will probably not just be about Google Slides, but other things too. But, yeah. So, make sure to follow the lines, and there should not be any inland stuff. I will probably do an inland sea, but that'll be different. Since I'm probably going to do, oh, yeah, it can kind of be glitchy. Make sure to follow along if you make any mistakes, like I did. You can kind of go over just to ensure that there's no mistakes. Real quick, I am going to make an inland sea about here in this kind of area. I normally don't make inland seas, but I should make more of them. Inland seas, lakes. Also, while you're thinking about this, try to thinking of a scale. Like how big you think this is going to be, like a continent-sized map, or like a country-sized map. Really, could be up to anything. Okay. Now that we got this, make sure to group it by right-clicking, and that, or Control-Alt-G. Turn down the borders, and then pick a nice color for this, for the landmass to be. Once you're done with that, you can kind of move it down, scale it a bit better. But I think this is looking pretty good. Although this, just double click and you can edit the nodes, glyphs. Oh yeah, that doesn't work. So if there is stuff like that, just come over with a new polyline and just go over it. And make sure to group it. No, not ungroup it. Group it. And look at our beautiful console. Just go around the border, seeing if you see any mistakes or mishaps on that. And that is part 1 of this video. Part 2 come out soon. Bye bye. This was eSlides. I'm out.